What up, girl? Yo!
Hey
Oh my
girl.
God.
You can't see it because of the frame, but it says Slay.
I can see it.
Well,
Can you
you can
tell
see
me?
it, but you at home.
Oh, okay. I was like, girl, I can see you just fine.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your dog collar budget annually. Just give me like
It's
a ballpark.
I never thought of myself as a collector. But that's a great way to start a story. But I have a little collection going. I have like
Yeah.
maybe around 10 nice little leather chokers.
You
Uh
have a dainty neck.
Thank you, girl. That is the nicest thing I think anyone's ever said to me. Because trans
You
women
really
sound off
do.
in the chat because you're like the last thing you want to hear about is your arms and the width of your shoulders and all that stuff. So when someone gives you like a really
Yeah.
specific compliment about a part of your body that you actually like, you're like, I feel seen. Yeah, yeah. Thank
You
you.
really do. It's a very flattering jewelry choice for you.
I would
Also, you
Thank you. I would lean into neck corsets, but I think my head would snap off. So I'm trying to keep
What
it.
the fuck is a neck corset?
You never seen neck corsets before?
No, girl, because it is not the 1830s. What?
Well, I don't think people neck corseted in the 18. This is like more of a fetish thing. They belong next to those high heeled boots that force your feet into on point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize it's a fetish thing. Okay.
It's like the aesthetic of pain. Like they're not really painful, but they look kind of painful. It's
Mhm.
literally just a corset that you tighten the laces around your neck. Yeah, it's a lot. It sends a very specific message, and that message is choke me.
They're like, look, there's no pretext.
No, it's a little on the nose, but I appreciate it.
Damn.
Yeah. So, girl, can I tell you something special about this dress?
I'm dying to know about it. Oh.
I don't know if she's in the Victorian era or if she runs a circus or if she runs a circus in the Victorian era, but
Yeah.
I'm not usually into polka dots, but I was at a Prince-themed burlesque show at District West on Thursday, which was so
Like
much
you
fun.
do.
And I was backstage with Miss Dee Dee Lemieux, and she said, "What is this you have on your body? Take that off immediately, and I have something for you." And she gave me this black polka dot mesh dress, which is gorgeous. And honestly, it fits like a glove. It's so comfortable. But what's not comfortable is for the first time in the history of this program, I put on a corset just for you, Brooke. I put on
Oh my God, I feel so #blessed.
I put on a steel-boned corset just for you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Girl, that fits you so perfectly.
Thank you. It's smoke and mirrors because of the corset. Because if you don't have the corset on, it is still a nice silhouette, but it's more like a easy breezy sundress. And Yeah, and I wanted something more like, Madam of the Brothel.
Wow.
Yeah.
You nailed it. No notes.
Thank you.
Oh, looks so good. So she just gave you that?
Yeah,
What's
she
the
just-
magic of drag backstage? Like drag backstage energy, burlesque backstage, any like show backstage, the energy is just like everyone is so except for our backstage drama episode, welcoming and
Kind, just
you're
very
like,
kind.
Shit, I need eyelash glue. There's like 14 tubes
Yes.
right there. Like everyone is so like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I love Dee Dee. Dee Dee, thank you so much. I love this dress. It is adorable. And
It is very cool.
she was like, I can't wear this because it is a really long dress. Like it's almost floor length on me. And I'm pretty tall. So she was like, who do I know who wears a lot of black and would appreciate a sort of pin-up-y tulle situation and is really tall? And she gave it to me. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, I love it. I am wearing a shirt that, of course, I got bamboozled into buying. So let me tell you what I don't know, because I'm not young and hip, but I found out, of course, my partner's younger sister who actually knows about the real world and social media. So apparently there are these boutiques that are popping up that buy a bunch of clothes on like Shein and other fast fashion child labor things.
Yeah.
And they open up these boutiques and sell the shit at a markup. So I'm in Columbus in the shore north, and there's this little shop called White Lemon or Lemon Boutique or something.
Yeah.
And I pop in, and like this shirt should be like $5.
It's gorgeous. Listen, the contour on those succulent melon breasts that you have. I don't normally like to read erotic fiction on this program, but those succulent melon breasts, explosive cleavage. That's a good drag name.
But by the way, these buttons don't button. Like there's no buttonhole over here. I just want to point out.
No buttonhole needed,
There's
frankly.
no buttonhole.
No, like why would you want to do that?
What I'm saying is there's like 14 inches of fabric. It's a crop top. And it was like $28. And I was like, I'm sorry. What? Like, of course, it cost 2 cents to make unethically. And now I'm buying it.
And you know the markup is not going to the people who make the garments.
Fuck no. So I was like, so the girl was like, this is your first time here. And I was like, yeah, actually it is. And she's like, okay, well, like, we're a chain, so check us out. And I was like, oh, great, where are your other locations? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, are you in a human trafficking situation? Like, blink twice for yes. Like, it was so weird.
I love that.
I was like, what?
Yeah. That's like, excuse me, could you get this for me in another size? And she's like, no. You know?
It's just, what's happening? Anyways, so this is my overpriced, but I'm trying to branch out into white because I live in Florida now. What are you drinking?
Cheers. I will tell you that I wanted a little salty, a little sweet, a little goth, a little summer. And so I'm drinking a Corpse Reviver, number 2, of course. And can I tell you something terrible that happened to me today? Just terrible. Yes. I ran out of Cointreau and I had to use Drambuie. So some of us do struggle.
You should kill yourself.
Oh my god! Wow, we've stooped to new lows.
Too dark.
For this show? So what are we actually here to talk about? I don't remember. Oh, it's tax season. Mm-hmm. Girl, are you team H&R Block or team TurboTax?
Look.
The real issues of the day.
Look, okay, Eileen.
Mm-hmm.
The only time we're actually going to talk about taxes is this question, and then we'll get into the real dish, which is relationship tax.
Of course.
But really quick, if your taxes are done, take a drink. If your taxes were constantly delayed in your 20s when we both lived together, take a drink.
Okay.
And girl, that's gay rights.
And girl, that's tea.
That's it.
Tea on period, boots the house, sis, pop off.
Anyways.
All right. Setting that right aside.
We're going to talk about relationship tax.
Yes.
So what does that mean to you?
Okay, so there's this thing that happens when you're in a relationship for a while, and we've touched on it from various angles on this program before, but this thing happens where you are crafting a relationship identity. You're crafting an identity within your relationship, and it is related to but perceptibly different than your identity as an individual, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, things change. When you're together, you compromise, you negotiate. Maybe you wouldn't necessarily go to Disney on Ice, but the other person really loves Disney on Ice, so you go. You know what I mean?
Then you should kill yourself.
Girl,
that joke's going to keep coming back.
I was in
Who's going to Disney on Ice as an adult?
There are a lot of gays.
Oh shit, the Disney gays are going to get me.
There are a lot of gays going to Disney on Ice. Not the gays in my relationship, but I will tell you that one time I went with my family-in-law to a hockey game, and I was dressed in an outfit very much like this.
Oh my god, wait. Holy shit, you went to like an NHL game?
Not an NHL. Well, it was like a, what's the team in Columbus? The Blue Jackets. I went to a Blue Jackets.
That is the NHL. That is the
it?
National Hockey League.
Okay.
Yes.
Drink if you don't know what the NHL is.
Okay, I'm gay, so I'm a lesbian, so that's how that works.
Yeah.
Gay women have to know the shit. Can we just fuck this topic? We have to change it. I need to know about you. Dressed very similarly to what you're wearing now at a NHL Columbus Blue Jackets professional hockey game.
So, girl, it's difficult to clock if you don't know me that well. Like, if you just saw me for the first time, you'd be like, oh, she always looks like that. But, Brooke, you know that I'm something of a social chameleon when it comes to how I dress.
100%. We talked about that.
Yes, we did. And I think it was last episode, personal style.
It was.
So, you can sort of tell how much effort I'm putting in to meet the needs of that particular social moment. But if you do know me well and you see me in a social situation wearing something that is completely inappropriate, you know where my comfort level is. So I'm sitting there in like a black goth gown.
Girl.
And every time that buzzer goes off, my face was like this.
I love every time it went off, you just felt like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was either that or like dress really colorfully, and every time the buzzer goes off, be like, honey, yes! Yes, mama. We love to see it. Like it was one or the other. And I think I chose violence.
Did you have beer and nachos, or did you ask for their Prosecco menu?
I had beer, but I'm not a monster. I had beer, but I'm not having nachos.
Did they win?
I don't remember. This was like 4 years ago.
That is a relationship tag. That's a good example of a relationship tag.
I thought so. I felt like I felt like a little piece of me inside died, and I've sold my soul to the devil, so that's pretty hard to do at this point.
I will say professional sports games are one of the biggest relationship attacks on relationships in my 20s. Like I dated this woman.
Pause for the truth.
I dated this woman who like not only loved going to professional soccer games, but also played in recreational soccer leagues and also enjoyed college soccer games. And I was like,
so can I just say, brief aside, when you tell stories about your exes, a Who's Who board flips up in my head, and I start.
Oh my god! Like Guess Who?
Guess Who? Yeah, that's it. A Guess Who board. All the faces flip up.
Susan and Anita and one black guy. Yeah.
And I start flipping down, and then I just it was 2 sentences, and I was like, "Yep."
Remember Maria, who was one of the women who had a hat in Guess Who? So if you knew it was a woman with a hat, it was always Maria.
I don't remember any of them.
Oh my god, they're great.
They're great.
Maria had a green beret and a drop down earring, and I was attracted to her and wanted to be her, but I was like 6, so I didn't know.
First of all, of course you were, and second of all, was it Maria Bruno? Because she.
Oh my god, no! But Maria Bruno is a total babe.
She is.
And if you don't follow Maria Bruno for legislative updates in the Ohio State House, you should on Twitter.
You're missing out.
You really are.
Mm-hmm.
No, relationship checks. I do feel like the things that I find most taxing when it comes to the relationship tax, right? The ways you have to compromise is time. I really struggle with that.
Oh.
That was the investment of time in the sports games. Because it was never just a fucking sports game. I had another ex, right, who loved the NFL. So it wasn't like just...
Oh, no. Just kidding.
It wasn't... They loved the Cleveland Browns. Doing better?
Yeah. No, I already knew. When you said they loved the NFL,
you already knew, okay.
I knew who it was.
But it's all day. Like, it's all day Saturday or whatever, and all day Sunday. Or then there's a Monday night game and a Thursday night game. It's just takes over your life. So that was my issue there. I don't like anything that saps every time.
Yeah,
all the time.
And you have to help with smoking the meat, and that takes 8 hours. So there's
feeling personally attacked right now. Personally attacked. You saw it here first, folks.
I also did benefit from the smoking of the meat because it was delicious, but very, very time consuming.
Whatever, it took 18 hours, and at the end there'd be 8 chicken wings.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck would we do with our weekend?
And also, you don't eat meat, so that's a problem.
It was a significant problem.
Yes.
And no one's bringing smoked wings to lunch on Monday for work.
Though maybe they should. I don't know. Maybe they should. Girl, that is such an insightful observation you made about time. Because I was just thinking, for me, it's there are times when you want to stay out later, but you know that you have plans the next day with that person, or you agreed to be home by a certain time, or you know it's in the early evening and you had plans with your significant other in the later evening. And a mistake I truly have made in my relationship is that like sometimes you think, oh well, we live together, so
Right.
we can just rearrange plans. It's not that big of a deal, right? And in the first few years, I was like, well, we're not going to do it tonight. We'll just do it tomorrow. Like, who cares, you know? And I didn't realize that the message that that sends, I think, is, oh, I'm not a priority for you, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So that was a tough lesson to learn, but I feel like I do better at that now, and also harkening back to the calendar episode, or I don't remember what episode we talked about where about sharing calendars, but I also am one of those terrifying people that shares full details on my calendar with my partner, because otherwise,
you need to.
because otherwise, like I want them to know where I'm gonna be throughout the week because I'm busy.
Right. And I think like one of the challenges is, especially for like me, is I love that you kind of brought up like the early evening, later evening. Like I know myself well enough now to be like, if it's early evening plans,
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't make it to later evening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm probably gonna bail out. So trying to like set that up. But then there's the other side of like South Florida. So South Florida, everything is super far. So like remember when we came down, it was like, oh, we're going to Wilton Manors, we're going to Miami, and you're like, how close? I'm like super close, 45 minutes. Like that's Florida. Everything is spread out on the coast, right? So and then you want to go inland or if you want to go to the beach, like it's just so everything's so far.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that has actually been kind of nice about it is you really can't do multiple things in one night.
Mm.
Because you literally like everywhere is a destination.
Yeah, you gotta
Like-
you gotta plan it out. Like there's time to commute.
You gotta
to
plan it out and you're like,
everything.
okay, we're doing Miami. That's it. That's the night. The night is Miami. Like, you know, and I think that's the thing about Columbus. It's deceptive for smaller, more manageable cities and areas.
Mhm.
It's like, you're like, well, I can just do it all. And it's like, okay. Because I think that's the other piece, right? Like, how do you prioritize and make the time? Like, what are the ways your partner feels valued? And for a lot of people, it's not just committing to the time, but then it's also you planning things to do, right? And kind of making that investment.
Because in Columbus, you can fit maybe 3 things into the night, depending on how late you're staying up.
Exactly. You can squeeze so much in.
Yeah, in Miami, you're like, I'm gonna plan one thing, and then there's commuting, and then by the time all that wraps up, it's like it's just got to be more energy to sustain that.
Girl, can I tell you something personal?
I wish you would. How personal we get.
You know I love classical music.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of the symphony, the opera, everywhere.
Mm.
And my partner, it's her only flaw, loves visual art, loves like art galleries.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't get it. You know what I don't get? I don't get art people. Like I don't get people that like go to art galleries. I think more than I don't get art. I also don't get art. But I know this is controversial yet, Brady, but I just visual art for me, I really struggle with it in a lot of ways that like in the level where people just stare at it. Like I just am like,
Don't you have particular movements or like styles or things that really speak to you? Well,
is Bob's Burgers a style?
because
I
because
respect it. And, like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it's not something I go to and draw to. But like Natalie, my partner loves. I never say their name, but oh dear. My partner loves like visual art, and I found an event this Friday that's symphony and visual art.
Oh, amazing! I love that.
And I like was like, do we have plans? Do we have plans this Friday? Like I'm
We do
so
now.
excited. I did like the Yahtzee of events.
Mhm.
So when you can find that, right, it's like, oh my God, this is perfect.
That's a great idea. Get the best of both worlds or the best of whatever. Like you don't have to share 100% of the experience, but if there's significant overlap, like a luscious Venn diagram, then like you're gonna have a good time. I think for me,
Luscious.
Monty and I both like going to an art gallery or a museum, but I think the difference is he could probably spend 4 or 5 hours at a museum, and I want to spend like 3 or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
I want to go around, I want to see things. Definitely more interested in some rooms than others. And then like I time out at some point because I do like to look
yeah,
at art and I like to think about, oh, this what is this? I mean, it's like tarot for me. It's like I look at the imagery, I look at
yeah,
the composition and the different elements and the style and maybe read a little bit about the history. I'm like, huh, what does that make me feel? But then
right.
that takes a lot of mental energy, and then eventually I'm like, all right, we going to the gay bar because
I do think that's true. Like I do like art galleries, but I get very tired, and
mm,
I think like I can't. My challenge with them generally, especially bigger ones, is I'm like, well, I'm missing out. Like I feel like I have to hit every room, and it gives me anxiety.
yeah, I could see that, like the desire to get the whole experience and not leave anything unseen.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and that's like not sustainable.
yeah. I guess
So
I don't really have that issue with museums. This is not a museum episode. I feel like I'm going too deep on this, but there are certain things that I'm like. I like to look at the map and be like, I want to go to these 4 rooms, and the rest of them, like,
right.
I could take them or leave them.
Oh yeah, I love that shit. I love old shit, otherwise known as antiques. But in my house, my partner calls it old shit.
I love decorative arts so much. I love furniture. I love jewelry. I love tapestries. I love all of that. I'm always going to go see the antique silver. Love that.
Yeah, we love the antique silver girl.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So, what is a relationship tax like? Not when it comes to a time and events. Like, what is another like compromise where you're like, oh wow, I really struggle with that, or actually that's really easy, but it's not everybody finds it easy.
Yeah, I think one thing that seems really easy but is not is like making emotional space for the other person's reaction or the other person's feelings. And it's like, oh, of course you do that, right?
Mhm.
But feelings are not simple, and sometimes you don't share feelings. Sometimes you can't help with feelings, and
Yeah,
it's also not up to you when the processing of those feelings is done. So there's a really complicated like calculus of okay, which we're having a shared experience, and I've got to process my feelings, you've got to process your feelings, and we've got to process our joint feelings. And it's really difficult to figure out when that's happening, and it's like when I was transitioning, there's a component of that where I've got my stuff that I need to work out, but then also he's got his stuff that he needs to work out, and I can't help him with that stuff. And if I
yeah,
try to help him with that stuff, it's actually like possibly going to set me back with my stuff as the person
right,
going through the transition. And then on the flip
right,
side, recently it's been more about grief. Grief is very complicated. It's long term. It's like transition. It's not one of those things that just goes away. It's like something you have to continue to process, and it reaches new Pokemon evolutions. Like now it looks like something else, and now you've got to process it a different way. And so, I guess my advice for that, if I've learned anything about it, it's like keep checking in. Don't not talk about it. The worst thing you can do is not talk about something that's complex and emotional. You have to keep talking about it, but you can't feel an expectation that you're gonna fix it or even be productive about it, right? Like you want to be like,
right,
oh, we're making progress. You're getting better. We're stronger because you've gone through this thing. It's like no, let all of that go and let it be what it needs to be. Because
right,
at the end of the
right.
day, I think a lot of my growth and development around relationships has just been releasing the expectation that this will last forever. And that sounds really bleak, but it's like, you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. We can't necessarily control what our feelings are and where they're going to go. And part of me not taking it for granted and enjoying the now is like how wonderful that we're still choosing to do this.
Yeah,
But if at any
yeah,
point it gets too difficult or it feels like our paths in processing our complicated emotional things that we're going through or a relationship, if it feels like we're starting to move in a different direction, like isn't the gift to just allow that to be what it needs to be and just say we're not
hmm,
going to try to fight this for 10 more years. We're going to say, we're still going to be in each other's lives, but maybe it's time for us to call it.
yeah.
I don't know, is that too real, girl? Mmm.
Girl, I just made the least attractive face I've ever made on the dish, but it's so real. And I think, like, you know, there's this fear around relationships that the end of them are failure.
Mm.
And I've always really struggled with that
Mm.
personally. In two ways. One way I don't think it's failure, but two, I've struggled with that when my relationships have ended. I'm like, but I am a failure. There's a weight of failure.
Mm.
And what's interesting is, you know, I've ended a fair amount of relationships. I would say probably more than you, but you know, more than most people, I would say, in terms of serious relationships. Like, I feel like I've dated a fair amount of people, and there is a feeling of failure you almost have to push past. You know what I'm saying? In that, you know, because we can say all the right things, but well, you learned so much on the way, and oh my God, like it's hard. It's hard to not see the ending of a relationship as a failure. And I think you have to kind of release yourself from the burden of that. So I think it's so, you know, it's giving yourself grace. It's also like, you know, I was just talking to somebody who they're just like so committed to the relationship. It's great. I'm like, is it? Is it going well for either of them? Or if they ended in 10 years, will we all look back and go, they have never been happier? Thank God they both got it.
Yeah.
Because if one person is that unhappy, odds are that the other person isn't great.
Yeah. Commitment on its own is not a virtue, right? Commitment has to be for a reason or a set of reasons, or it has to sit on a foundation of trust and love and whatever else. Every time I say love, I want to be like, love.
It's the outfit.
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I'm like Ebenezer Scrooge.
I actually think that's it. I think it might be some other character.
I don't know. It's like kind of fun because it has polka dots. It's a little clownish, but in the best way. You know?
Yeah, it's very like Madam outside of a carnival.
Outside of a what?
Like you know those old touring carnivals at the turn of the 20th century?
Oh, Madam outside of
like,
a carnival, yeah.
And the brothels that would follow them?
Yeah.
That's you. You're the madam at a traveling brothel.
I think what it is in order for this dress to reach full effect, it's missing a couple things. One is clown white face, teardrop, sad clown.
That would be great.
Yeah, black teardrop, sad clown, and then like a jaunty top hat going out this way.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you could be Dowager Clown.
That's who she is. You figured it out. Girl, you remembered that screen name that I was using for 4 weeks and then decided that maybe this isn't it.
No one knows what Dowager means.
No.
Just
you know
me,
what? Do they need to?
No.
No. If you would be interested, let me know in the comments below if you would be interested in some mommy merch. I've been thinking about a couple catchphrases that I would love to just put my, like, disappointed face with these glasses on a shirt, and it would just say things like, "Did you clean your room like I asked?" Yeah. Are you really leaving the house like that? And like that would be big, and it would be a picture of me like in lingerie. You know what I mean? Like just completely ridiculous.
I love that.
In lingerie.
I need some wedding lingerie, so if you could put that on some assless chaps or something, that would be great.
Girl, we'll get on Etsy. You know about my Etsy what's the word I'm looking for? Affinity. Obsession. Problem.
Yes, problem. Oh, girl. Well, we are wrapping up on the dish. Do you have any closing thoughts?
If you've got a favorite outfit, put it on. No, relationship tax. Just remember that if you are paying a cost, it should also be for a good reason. So just, keep, we're leaning into this tax metaphor, this tax season metaphor, but like, look at your balance sheet and ask yourself, what are you paying for? Are you getting it back? Girl, what's your advice? Go do your taxes. You have 2 more days. You have a couple more days. Yeah, I was gonna say you have a couple more than that, but you should probably do it. Yes.
Go do your taxes.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us tonight, and every Tuesday we will see you next week on Les Dios.
Love you, kids. See you next time. Bye.